The World Games.
It's world record breaking. It's fun.
It's unforgettable.
The World Games.
Where the world's best
Compete.
So welcome back, everyone. Last two sessions of the day to go, and as you've just seen, we are now going to hear all about the production of the World Games, which takes place in Chengdu next month. So we're delighted to have the host broadcaster, International Sports Broadcasting, here to share its creative and technical approach to delivering 34 sports, 60 disciplines, and 256 medal events to a global audience. So with me on stage, we have Ursula Romero, ISB Managing Director. Just next to Ursula is Breakell, ISB Senior Coordinating Producer and Director. And just on the end there is Sofia Zhuang, ISB World Games Coordinating Producer. Thank you all for joining us today. So I'm just going to give a very quick sort of potted overview of the Games for anyone who might not be familiar with it. So it's an 11-day multi-sports event for sports and disciplines that aren't in the programme of the Olympic Games. Sports and disciplines of the World Games have joined the Olympic Games, but only feature at the World Games that are not on the full programme of the preceding summer or winter Olympic Games or Paralympic Games. It takes place every 4 years. So the first edition was Santa Clara in the US in 1981. And as we mentioned, the 2025 Games takes place in Chengdu in August. There's around 5,000 world-class athletes from over 100 countries who will compete in 253 medal events in 27 venues. Did I get all those numbers right?
Yes, you did.
Excellent. Okay, right, we're just going to see another clip just to give you another sense of exactly what the World Games is all about.
From across the oceans, from every corner of the globe, the athletes of over 100 nations have come, finding a home here in the United States of America. Each sport was born somewhere, but it now belongs to the world, for these are the World Games. The athletes of the World Games.
Excellent. So, Ursula, tell us, what's ISB's role in all of this?
Well, ISB, International Sports Broadcasting, we are the global host broadcaster, which is a new term, of the World Games. We've been involved with them in 2017 was the first time. Then we did Birmingham, what you just saw the pictures of, in 22. And now we've got Chengdu coming up, and then the next edition after that will be in Germany, in Karlsruhe. So we are the host broadcaster and also rights sales distributor.
And just give us an idea of the kind of size and scale of the operation, perhaps from ISB's perspective. So maybe, you know, size of the team, some of those kind of key roles as well.
Well, we have our core team, which is actually quite small. Half of it is here. But we have our offices in Madrid, and but for the World Games now in Chengdu, we will have around 1,000 staff. Most of them will be from China, including broadcast companies such as CMG, Sichuan TV, SMT, etc. And we will have, like I said, 80% of the entire team will be Chinese. Some of them local from Chengdu, but the rest obviously from all over China. And then we will bring our core team from here, and some of the edit crews and sort of more specialized jobs will come from all over Europe, including the US as well. And then we have 4 foreign production teams that are joining us. One is from Colombia, that will be looking after the roller sports. Then we have a mixed team based out of Germany, a full women's team, complete crew, looking after the fight sports and canoe polo, and then we have a Spanish crew coming as well.
So a really international affair.
Yes.
Yeah. Sofia, can you tell us about the editorial approach that you're taking? What kinds of content are you going to focus on?
Yes, it is actually a very big updates for both for ISB and the World Games. And compared with previous World Games in Birmingham, we focused on semifinals and finals over 8 live feeds plus highlights. But this time we are going live on almost all of the 34 sports over 27 venues across Chengdu city. And this literally shifted everything. Now we have 22 production teams and units over, as Ursula just mentioned, over 1,000 personnel working as host broadcasters. And in our production plan, we have over 900 hours of live sport competition coverage, which includes almost most of the quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals, and as well as almost all of the preliminaries and quarterfinals qualifications. Sorry. And for those sports who have multiple field of plays, we are covering the non-TV broadcast FOPs via ENG. And additionally, we have 3 beauty cameras capturing the most representative landscapes of the city of Chengdu. And we also have a daily studio show, as well as daily news feeds and highlights and story of the games, and not to mention our vertical social media content, which will all be produced at the IBC. So yes, for ISB, the World Games is more than a games, given its unique and vibe, given those sports that are not so popular or not very well known across the world. For us, it is more like a living map of the global athletes culture. And we are really looking forward to getting closer to the field of plays, to the athletes with our cameras and telling these stories through the screens to our audience worldwide.
Fantastic, thank you. So that's a significant scaling up from 4 years ago in terms of the amount of content that you guys are going to be sharing with everyone. Ursula, you've spoken about the size of the team and the fact that you're going from half a dozen in the core team to 1,000 on site. What else have you had to do in order to kind of scale up to deliver the content that Sofia has just explained to us?
Well, we the last 2 editions we had 8 production units, and we really focused only on semifinals and finals. But because the event is becoming more popular, and there are quite a lot of sports that are actually now also in the Olympics, so the need and the want of broadcasters to have more, and the federations obviously. So we really pushed hard to up the budget. And really try and cover as much as possible, obviously to a certain standard. We are also trying to incorporate innovations, which are, I think, more for the youth, because most of these sports are actually quite young sports. So rather than having 30, 40 cameras, we really wanted to concentrate also on bringing in more fun virtual graphics, augmented reality graphics, AI, etc. So we're pushing for that. We're hopefully also going to be making an announcement soon that will cover one of our sports completely with cinematic cameras, which I'm very excited about. But yeah, so we're trying to, rather than quantity, focusing more on quality. And really, like Sofia said, the venues are quite small in general, so we can really get close. And the World Games athletes are very easygoing. There's not all the security and hype around it like in an event such as the World Cup or Olympics, so we can really get close. And since we are the host broadcaster, we're also very privileged to be able to go behind the scenes, put cameras where we normally wouldn't be able to put them. Like, for example, in the billiards table, we're putting a camera inside the actual, what do you call it, the hole? The pocket, sorry. So you can see the ball coming in, and we're able to drill a hole into the pool table. So, but things like that.
A bit more control and a bit more sort of capacity.
Liberty, yeah. And a lot of the federations are quite new to the host broadcasting concept. So we've been doing regular meetings with them, doing media workshops with them, and really getting to the heart of the sport, but then also explaining to them, if you want your sport to be more recognized, you need to be able to allow us to get closer. Yeah. So I think we've made quite a big jump from Birmingham as well. It's also quite complicated to explain to all these federations what it means to stick to television times, and I'm looking at Sotiris, he's there, but he knows, and John, all the conversations with the federations to get the run-ups ready, to understand what it means to stick to a time. And a lot of these federations are used to just streaming and hitting play. So Greg and we also have a person that is working on the sport presentation side with the committee to really work with the federations and make sure they understand what it means, that there's a broadcaster waiting on the other side. And so yeah, it's been a very steep learning curve from our side with the sports and also for the local organizing committee and all the federations, but it's been really good.
Great. And obviously what Sofia and Ursula have just spoken about is going to take place after the opening ceremony. So Greg, can you tell us about the plans for that opening ceremony, please?
Yes, the mystery of opening ceremonies. Anybody that's been involved with games and ceremonies knows that I am living in the dome of silence right now, but I will decloak the best I can to give a little overlook. Along with what Ursula was saying, just working in China under the not only with the LOC, but any ceremonies is about not only the athletes, of course, which is the reason we're there, but the culture, the beauty of the city, of the country that you're in. I've been involved with many ceremonies in many different levels in my career, and I can tell you the first step always is, first of all, you have to get in the mind of the creative director, which is always a challenge. Sometimes creative directors cannot even meet what they envision on their stage, and then we have to take that and put it on and broadcast that so that it makes sense to a viewer. So it's been a great challenge, as always in the ceremonies. We were particularly challenged. We had our production plan set for a typical, normal stadium fashion ceremonies, and then the venue was changed to an outdoor lake, an outdoor lake facility at the Tianfu Convention Center. The lake is probably 500 to 700 meters long, 300 meters wide. It's a monstrosity. There's no vertical structures for us to work with or off of within the venue. So all the normal, we talk about innovation. Of course, in ceremonies, it's not quite like sports where you can put cameras and vantage points and viewpoints that people and viewers have not seen before or experienced. but there's always the secrets of ceremonies that you have special cameras in special places. So we're dealing with water, we're dealing with lack of vertical, we're dealing with we're working in China in a culture and a broadcast. The philosophy of broadcasting is a little different than most of us are used to in a worldwide host broadcasting normal scenarios. Strictly, even myself being educated, I've worked in China many times, but not in a ceremonies creative position. So even being very aware of and learning daily what we can and can't do based on seating positions, who is attending. It changes every day. Therefore, cameras change.
I'm getting the sense that this might have been giving you a few sleepless nights.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just got back from China like 4 days ago, so there is that too. But no, it's seriously, it's politics. I'll say it. It's what we're all well aware of and dealing with in this world we live in. But there are definitely new experiences that I am dealing with daily in what is always normal and all of a sudden is no longer normal. So we have to come up with the solutions to these challenges.
Ursula, when we spoke before, we spoke about the need for that kind of the diplomacy that is required in a role such as yours, because we speak obviously a lot about the operational aspects, the kind of technology that's involved as well. But I guess, yeah, those kind of diplomacy skills also are very much needed when you're working on a project like this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's, as Greg was saying, I mean, even though personally I have to admit that I have a soft spot for China and working there because they're extremely efficient and also very welcoming and very warm. I mean, since 2008, nothing but amazing memories. But you are dealing with a local organizing committee, which eventually belongs to the government. So everything needs to be checked. Everything has to be, approved. And even though you may have a very good rapport with your broadcasting team on the other side, but then you have to deal with their leaders. And so it's kind of you can't just put your hand down and rush off and say, well, I'm not doing it anymore, because that doesn't really work. So you have to find a fine balance of friendliness, but at the same time standing your ground. And in this occasion, we've had to sort of, because we are the host broadcaster that comes from the IWGA, it wasn't selected from the LOC, so we really had to stand our ground and not being bullied by the local broadcasters who wanted to be the host broadcaster. So, but it's all fine at the end. You just have to be very patient, have many meetings with many translations, and interpret and make sure that you don't interpret the wrong thing or communicate the wrong thing through Chinese whispers in this case.
Yeah, and you spoke about greater investment as well, and sort of pushing for greater investment, and I guess a good example of that is the World Games Live OTT platform, which is a significant investment, a significant innovation as well for you guys. So what are the kind of key editorial choices that you're making to support that OTT platform, and how are you kind of making that really intuitive and accessible for the viewers around the world who'll be tuning in?
Well, the idea behind the platform, which is another platform, but because the World Games are so large in different sports, and the broadcasting rights are quite scattered, and it's getting more and more difficult anyway, we decided together with the IWGA that we should just go for it and have everything under one platform. In previous games, we had sold the rights in certain territories, but then they only took a certain amount of sports. So we ended up getting messages from federations saying, hey, where can we watch our sport? It's nowhere. So it made a lot of sense to put everything under one platform. But the idea of this platform is that it's open to everyone. We do have a capability of geo-blocking if necessary, but the idea is to really make it every sport live, open to everyone. It won't be behind a paywall, for now at least, because the idea is to drive traffic and get the views. But the nice thing about the platform is that it's going to create sort of an ecosystem so that not only the federations have a place, so you can investigate about the sport, you can learn about the sport. It has a bit of a Netflix feel because it has obviously the live, but then it has recommended, recently watched, most watched, highlights, VOD. But you'll be able to also, because you watched korfball, it'll recommend to you any other ball sports that you might be interested in. So if you're a hardcore fan of a certain sport, but you liked it, then you might get interested in some of the other sports. And that will link them back to the federation, and therefore the federation will get exposure. And then we also have the athletes directly involved. So the idea is to create, again, a direct contact between the fans and the athletes, so that not only the athletes get more exposure, but also the fans learn about the different athletes and can connect eventually.
To add to that, it's added a new fold into the production end of things also. We're pushing the production teams to take a look at the app. Who are the featured athletes? Who are the ambassadors of a given sport? Please do your due diligence. Take a look. We've got 6 athletes in fin swimming, and you should be taking a look at that and augmenting the live production, focusing on piggybacking what we're pushing with athletes on the app.
And how do you support the athletes who want to generate their own content as well? How do you kind of encourage them and make sure that it fits in with your overall kind of ethos and editorial approach?
Ursula had mentioned we had workshops over a year ago now, and of course we work and are in contact with the federations on a regular basis, weekly now at this point. But we had pushed many months ago. Please identify your ambassadors. Look at their socials. Find your big athletes, and let's get them on the app. So the federations have been submitting athletes to the IWGA. And their bios, and whatever they're contributing is what can be seen.
I'm sorry, and just eventually what will happen, not right now because the World Games are right around the corner, but between the World Games now and the next World Games, we'll get athlete content on there as well, so that there's always something. But the idea is to use the push of the vertical editorial team that we'll have in Chengdu to then liaise with the IWGA and get all the athletes also involved and eventually also get them onto the platform.
Okay. And you've had the World Games series as well, a new event. So there was a test event in Chengdu. That was in March. Yeah. Can you give us an idea of anything that might have been learned from that kind of test event? Anything that you might be kind of changing or tweaking going into the main event in sort of 50-something days' time?
Well, I think the first thing that we've learned, not me, but for my crews, is that everybody needs to get used to the spicy foods in Chengdu. Otherwise, you're not going to survive more than a week or so. Yeah, it's a joke. So my biggest learning from the series is that from some of the sports, especially in China, this is their first time to see these sports. For example, bulls, which was happening in the series in China. So I was talking to my friends and telling them that I'm coming to Chengdu to do the series, and there is life-saving underwater sports and as well as bulls. And they are asking me, what is bulls actually? So can you show me, or what is it? So, and also it is the first time for our production team in Chengdu to do this sport. So everybody's learning these sports. We're learning the disciplines. We're learning and recognizing the athletes and everything. And we are actually one of the, the ball, okay, hit our cameras, the screen of our cameras when the athletes are competing. So the federation came to us later and saying, your cameras need to stay at least 1 or 2 meters away from the FOP to keep your camera and your cameraman safe. And this is very new, or at least new to our production team. So we're learning a lot, and this is why exactly we're having those series both in Hong Kong and Chengdu. This is a very good warm up and learning for everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
And George, and part of that learning experience, and Ursula's already mentioned it, the sport presentation people. Anybody that's been involved in the games, our friends from OBS, be it Asian, European games, if the communication and coordination between sport presentation, the venue, and broadcast is critical to a smooth flowing and enjoyable event for the viewer.
Yeah.
And not to mention the fan in the building. So we did. Ursula mentioned we've hired a specialist who's done many international events, specifically in venue flow management, sport presentation, working with the teams. But it was clearly obvious after the series that this was something that was needed, because if we're not in time with the venue, then broadcast will not be in time. So.
And Ursula, any kind of changes to the production setup or workflow as a result of those event series? And I just wondered if, for example, you're all going to be based on site. Is there anything being done remotely? You know, whereabouts are you kind of all going to be based?
We're all going to be in the International Broadcast Center as per normal. The big difference is that we're not going to have many rights holders on site, so it's a very small broadcast center, and it's quite compact. Where the contribution is being done by China Telecom from all the venues, and then we're using Vivaro to get out to the broadcasters via SRT. No satellite, so it's all quite, again, very compact and quite small in comparison. But we're all going to be based there. We have most of the platform crew will be remotely. We have somebody in the U.S. We have our platform provider is here in Spain and also in the U.S. and the U.K. And they're not going to be going to Chengdu. It's not really necessary. It's all remote anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, the editorial team is all going to be on site again because they're mainly from China. So everything is still going to be done. We do have some remote facilities that we're doing from the IBC. There are some venues that are quite far away or in a park setting, so it was quite difficult to get an OB van or a flight pack there. So we're bringing the signals back to the IBC and doing the editorial part there.
Fantastic. Okay, we're out of time, but I just wanted to ask you one more thing, because obviously whenever we talk about international games of this scale, the word legacy is often used, and there's a bit of a European legacy to these games as well. You mentioned that obviously a very international crew that's going out. You've got interns from Cardiff, from the Metropolitan University going out with you, and also some interns from the Real Madrid Media School as well. So kind of students, first, second jobbers who are kind of really being able to get hands-on and really kind of learn their trade at these games as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got my first job when I was 16, and that was not even in university yet, but it's probably not legal anymore. But I always think it's, you need to give people an opportunity. So we've joined up with the Zhuang University, and they're going to provide around 100 students to work with us. And then we also wanted to reach out to some international students. So we've got the Cardiff University. They're all master degree students, so most of them have experience already, but they don't really have work experience. So they wanted to come out. So they're coming out with us to Chengdu, and then with the Real Madrid Media School, which is part of the European University in Madrid. And they're all from everywhere. We got a young lady from Saudi Arabia. We've got some Americans. We've got Italians, and they're all different levels of communication students, more on the social media side. So they'll be helpful with that. But yeah, it's very exciting.
Excellent. So really helping with that kind of pipeline of next generation talent. Brilliant. Well, listen, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. But we look forward to tuning in 56 days?
You said next month, and my stomach dropped. Give us one more month after that.
Yeah. We listen.
Yeah, World Games Live, everybody.
Yeah, we look forward to tuning in. So listen, thank you so much for talking us through it. Thank you, Ursula.
Thank you.
Greg and Sophia. Thank you. So now we move on to our last session of the day. That's it. There you go. So if I could just ask our remote production panelists to